Okay, good afternoon or good morning, everyone, from wherever you're joining. I'm Jeremy Nathan. Thank you for joining this Copilot and Fabric and Power BI session. Real excited to teach you all some of the most powerful things you can use using AI inside of Power BI and Fabric to ask questions of your data and to make visuals and make report pages. Let me kind of share a little bit about me here. And you all can do the reactions, and if you have and also if you have any questions, post it into Q&A, please. So here we're talking about Copilot and Fabric and Power BI, and here's a little bit about me. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I have the PL300 certificate from Microsoft and Power BI as a data analyst. I'm an MOS, Microsoft Office specialist in Excel, and some of my hobbies are hiking, running, and lifting weights. So this year I've been pretty busy at the beginning of the year here, and it's been really cold outside. So been trying to get outdoors whenever I can. And here you see my email that you are welcome to keep in contact with me. And I'll also share my LinkedIn with you. So let's look at the agenda of what we're going to be going over. So kind of get into a little introduction of what is Fabric, then what is Power BI, what is Copilot. And just to start with, could you all give me a thumbs up? Is who has used Power BI here? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay. Because there's some of you used Power BI. Okay. And then, and what about Fabric? Can you all give me a reaction? Have you used Fabric? Okay. I see a couple of reactions. Thanks. And then, and what about Copilot? Has anyone used Copilot in here before? Okay. See a couple of thumbs up. Okay, great. Yeah, so excited to show you how those three things interact together. We'll be going over that. I'll show you what you can do with Copilot and Power BI. We'll go over the pricing of Fabric, how to create a Fabric capacity in Azure, how to pause the capacity, how to enable Fabric in the Power BI admin portal, how to enable it in Power BI itself, and how to use Copilot in Power BI desktop and in Power BI services. And I'll show you also how to set that Fabric capacity to a workspace in Power BI. Okay, let's look at Fabric first. So what is Fabric? Well, what it is Microsoft created this. It's in the cloud, and where you can bring in data, and you can organize and clean data. You can analyze your data in real time. You can build reports in the cloud. You can upload Power BI files to Fabric. And you can do other things like it says here on the slide, such as machine learning, real-time analytics, managing large databases. And what I've seen is what Fabric is really great at is analyzing huge sets of data, like more than 10 gigabytes of data. So that's one great thing about Microsoft Fabric, is its ability for you all to work on large amounts of data. So then other things you can do with Fabric is, like it says here, you can use KQL, SQL, PySpark, and Databricks inside of Fabric. So let's go over a little bit of definition and description. Again, it's end-to-end analytics designed for enterprises. So that's what we're talking about today, is using these tools for enterprise data analysis. And you see all the comprehensive suite of services inside of Fabric with data engineering, data factory, data science, real-time analytics, working with data warehouses, working with OneLake, databases, and moving data also using data pipelines. So we'll look at this other slide here. Some other feature, actually, I know some of this I may have already talked about with cleaning data. Let's go next to Power BI. So what Power BI is, so a lot of people are maybe more familiar with this, is basically it's where you can analyze your data using visuals and share your data with your coworkers. Here, I'll go through these slides a little bit quicker. That way we can get into seeing how to use these tools. Okay, now let's look at what is Copilot. Well, Copilot is an AI tool. It's generative AI, and it can answer questions, and specifically with Power BI and Power BI services, it can answer questions in your data. And so what it can do is it uses a large language model that Microsoft owns, and then Copilot can display numbers, text, and visuals. For you can use Copilot to do that. So now using Copilot and Power BI, one important thing to remember is that it requires a Power BI premium capacity of P1 or higher, or Fabric capacity of F64 or higher. And you do not need to purchase Copilot from Microsoft 365 to use Copilot inside of Power BI and Fabric. Let's go to the next one. And so some other things. So you may be asking, okay, what can you do with Copilot and Power BI? Well, you can create prompts and ask prompts in plain English or any other language and ask it to create reports, to make dashboards in the cloud and Power BI services. You can make the reports in Power BI desktop in a PBX file or in the cloud and Power BI services. There's really so much you can do with this. That's what I'm really excited to show you all this today. You can get dashboard recommendations for how to get the best visuals and layout, generate insights, and enhance your data analysis. You can have it make DAX measures, and work with DAX queries. You can identify data trends, anomalies, and correlations. And you can even customize visuals and have Copilot make report pages. And you can do other things like data exploration and workflow automation using Copilot. Okay, let's look at the price of Fabric F64. It's not free, and basically you can never use Copilot and Fabric or Power BI for free. You have to have an F64 license or that premium P1 capacity or higher. The price is $11.52 per hour, which equates to approximately $8,294 per month if you have it running constantly. But I'm going to show you that you want to pause the Fabric. Let's say you pause it every evening before you leave work, or have someone pause it every day. And that'll save your company money. So let's look at creating F64 Fabric capacity in Azure. First, let me tell you the permissions that you need to do this. The permissions that you'll need to do this is you have to be able to create Azure resources and purchase licenses. And I'll show you. Let me go to the next permission to show you this. So you need to have a cloud application administrator role in Microsoft Intra, like it says on this slide. That's the least permissive role, and you also will need a contributor role on the Azure subscription. So in here you see it on this next slide. Again, that's cloud application administrator, and to work in Azure, and also contributor on the Azure subscription. And you also may need to be a Power Platform admin to be able to get into Power Platform admin to work, to enable these things in Power BI services. Okay, but I'm going to show you this step by step, how to create this capacity. So let me stop sharing my screen, and I'll just share on the cloud here. So what you do, if you want to follow along with me, you can. So just go to Edge and type in the browser, just type in portal.azure.com to go to the home page. And I'll sign in. And then what you do is you can search at the top for Fabric. Click on Fabric. And you see I already have a capacity running. just to show you, if I click on it, you'll see it says pause. That means it's running. But let me just go back to show you how to start one from scratch. Click on create. And then you just get this create screen here. You see the URL at the top. You pick a subscription. You pick a resource group. You name your capacity without any spaces in it, of course. And then you pick your region. And see, here's the F64 capacity right here. And you can change the size. See, so you can change it to whatever you like. But F64 is the minimum to use Copilot and Power BI and Fabric. So then right there, you just click review and create. And just a few seconds later, you'll have that Fabric capacity running. So let me just go back to show you. See, I have it running. So I just keep a note of the name. And then now let me show you how to enable the other features to get this working. So let me show you what you have to do next is, so next let me go into the Power BI admin portal to show you what you need to do there. Go there, here, just make a new tab. Yep. Well, I'll just show you, I'll start from Power BI to show you this step by step. So it's app.powerbi.com, and then click on the gear in the top right corner, and then go to admin portal. So in the admin portal, what you have to turn on is that users can create Fabric items at the very top under tenant settings. That's enabled. It's enabled for my entire organization, or you can pick specific security groups. And then what else you have to enable after that? Let me show you. Let me go back to my notes. So also we'll need to turn on, let me show you what else we have to turn on here. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second to show you what's next. Okay, so also basically that's all you need to set up inside of the portal. But what I want to show you is where you can see when you click on workspaces on the far left, you can see what capacity is attached to a workspace. And see this down here, this Fabric capacity, that's the name on the top left in this Microsoft Fabric. That's that capacity name, Fabric capacity 2024-08-31. And that's attached to this Microsoft Fabric workspace here. Okay, see with the F64 SKU. Now these other ones, there's premium per user, but that Copilot won't work in there. And if I show you another page, and also a trial Fabric, you cannot use a trial Fabric. A Copilot will not work with the trial Fabric environment. Okay. So that's the admin portal here, and I'm just looking at the Q&A. Any questions in the Q&A so far? Okay, so then now let me show you. I'm just going to go back to the home page of Power BI. Okay, and then to show you, I'm going to show you how to attach the capacity to a workspace. So you just go to workspaces on the left, and then you find your workspace. Like I'll show you one that I already have Fabric attached to, just to show you. Or actually, first let me show you these symbols. If we look at the symbols, the person, the diamond with the person, that means a Power BI premium per user content. So that's just your like a regular monthly Power BI premium per user. I believe that's around $10 or $20 per person per month. I think it's $20 per person per month. You cannot use Copilot in this workspace. And I have this other one, even though it's called Microsoft Fabric Workspace, that's the name of it. But if you look at the symbol to the left of the diamond, see the diamond says fabric content, but to the left says it's a trial fabric environment. Okay. And then this other workspace, if I look at this diamond, see, look, it's fabric content. So I know this one has, I can use Copilot there. But let me show you one with the trial environment. I'll click there. And then at the top right corner, I'm going to show you, you need to go to workspace settings. And then you go to license info on the left, clicking on the diamond. And then you see that says current license trial. If I wanted to attach that fabric license to this, I'd click edit on the right. I select the fabric capacity. I choose the capacity name and region. And then if you don't have huge data sets, you pick small. If your data sets are larger than 10 gigabytes, then you pick large semantic model storage format. And then you just click select license. Okay. So then here, I'm just going to go to a workspace. Let me just discard these changes. Before I go to a workspace, what I want to show you is just how to start using Copilot in here. Okay. So let's just do that right now. So I'm going to open up Power BI to show you. Give me a second while it comes out. Oops. I actually click the X. Give me a minute to bring this up again. So one good thing about when your company has that F64 license running is that, and if the entire organization can use Copilot, and let me just show you, since I'm sharing my screen, back in the admin center. Yeah, right here. If I'm in Power BI admin, this is another thing that you should enable for people to use Copilot, would be this: Copilot and Azure OpenAI service in the admin portal is enabled. Okay, that's another thing. So once this is enabled, like I showed you, once that F64 capacity is running, then you can just, anyone at the company can open up a Power BI desktop file and click on the Copilot button in the top right corner, right up here under Home and Copilot, and then ask questions such as, what is the product with the most sales? You see it's working on it, so it's thinking. Yeah, and you all can post questions in Q&A, and we'll answer your questions. So right there with this prompt, you see it says the product with most sales is bikes, with the sum totaling 64 million. But one thing that's important is that you always want to double check the work. So let me just click on a new page, and I'll go to product. So I'll just make a table to show you this, or actually I'll make a matrix, and I'll click on product, and then we'll click on sales right here. And I'll zoom in a little, make it easier to see. there's product and sales, and I'll click on sum of sales once. And then right here, so of course, these are bikes, mountain bike, mountain road bike, and those bikes together is 64 million. So it could have been, let me bring up, I'll take product out of there and just put in category. So you see this, I put in category with total sales, and there, just like you see on the right, 64,069,000. On the right, it rounded up to 64.07. There we go. Now we know it's working correctly. So how cool is that? Just ask questions of your data before you even make visuals. So this is really great for anyone to use Copilot, from people working on the shop floor of asking questions in the data, all the way up to the CEO who may be working mobile on their laptop, and for anyone. So people don't have to have a lot of skills in Power BI, like you see, to ask what is the product with the most sales. Anyone can ask these questions at the company to get these answers. So let's look at some other things that it can do. Like you see the buttons at the top where it says create a new report page, where you just click on that, and then it'll ask you what kind of report page you'd like to make. So it says I can create a new report page, focusing on sales or product or date. So let's just say, I'll just say, okay, yes, and click send. So you can have basically like conversations with Copilot to ask it questions. And now look and I'll zoom out to show you this report page that it made. And close some of these panes. There we go. There's our report page. And on the right, if I show more, it says sales over time, from the beginning of time of our data all the way to the end. In a line chart, you can see what kind of charts it makes. You just click in here, click on visualizations, and we can see that's I guess, well, there's an area chart actually. So the line with the filled in the bottom. On the right, we see it made the stacked column chart. It made cards in here. Actually, it made a new card. Yeah, is that cool or what? You just have it make report pages for you. You don't have to tell anyone that Copilot made it, but you do have to check the work to make sure it's accurate. And one way to check the work, if I click on a visual and I see in here this, and let me bring up the data also. So in my visual, I see the x-axis says month, y-axis is sum of sales, and on the right, we see what's in there. Well, we know that's working correctly, just like if you would have made this visual from scratch. Okay, let's see some other things that Copilot can do right here in Power BI Desktop. Well, I'll ask it on the right. I'll say, what can Copilot do in Power BI Desktop? So it's thinking again. Oh, and here you can see what it does. It can do data exploration insights, make report, again, with summaries, suggest potential topics for report pages, can make report pages like you saw, can make visual recommendations, give you clarification guidance, best practices, and constraints management. So maybe I could just try to ask it about visuals, and let's look at the data to see what kind of data we're working. And this data is from just the PL300 on GitHub, okay, if you want to follow along, or you can use any kind of data that you have at work. Okay, let's look at, so we see date by sales. So maybe I can say, what is the best chart to make? And I just want to see what regions. So we see country and group and regions. So what's the best chart to make? Show regions by profit. and it says make a column chart or a bar chart. And now I'll try to copy and paste. The copy and paste doesn't always work the best on the right. So let me just try that. So I need to type, I'll say make that column chart. But first, let me go to new page. So I'll say make that column chart on page 5. Click send. There we go. There's the column chart by region, profit, and I see it also made the new card. Like if I don't want that new card, I just click on it, press delete. This top part, I can delete these things that added in. What do you think? How easy is this? And then you can see what it made on the right, made key metrics, total profit. Okay, now let's look at some more advanced DAX that it can put in here. So let me bring up some examples to show you. So I have one here. I'm gonna have it asked to make a DAX measure that shows every 1 week rolling sales amounts, where basically it'll add up each week, week by week. So on the right, let me paste this in. So make a DAX measure shows every 1 week rolling sales amounts. Just click send. And there it is. See, it's doing a calculate, adding up the sales with the dates and period based on the last date, going back 7 days. It says press enter to create the measure. Okay, let's do that. Enter. Oh, actually, it's telling me step by step on how to do this in here. And now I've noticed the copy and paste doesn't always work the best. So sometimes you just have to type in what it tells you. So I'll do that here. I already have it copied and pasted. So I'll make a measure on the right under sales, right click. Well, I already made it here so you can see. Here's that new measure that I made a little while ago. Rolling sales of 1 week. And now let's look at that in a visual. So in the same page, I'll just say, put that measure into a visual. Click send. So also, you may know that the better detail you put into Copilot, the better details that it'll provide you. Like here, I just said, put that measure into visual. Well, here it created a whole, an entire report page, but you could be real specific and just say, put that measure into visual on page 5. Okay, so let's look at this report page that it made. And right here, here on the left is sales over time. And then on the right, we see 1 week rolling sales over time. Let me just show you the difference in that. Just make it bigger to show you. Here's the 1 week rolling sales over time with that measure. And then I'm gonna say, okay, sorry, that keeps going away, but let me put in here also sales. And it's a line, there you go. So now on the bottom right, you see on the bottom, the top one is the rolling 1 week sales. And on the bottom is the sum of sales. Or you see it's, or I may have it backwards with where it's having these adding up. But basically, you see how you can compare different visuals, different measures to each other. Okay, let's look at a couple other measures that you can use. You can ask it even for simple to the most advanced measures. So let's look at our data first. So we have data, and let's look at our regions. So I have regions with different, or I have the different countries, like Canada, France, Germany, Australia, United Kingdom, and United States. So let me ask something like, so in order to use Copilot, look, in order to use Copilot, you notice this? You see which page I need to be on? You see Copilot doesn't show up in here unless I go to the report view. So I need to go to the report view, and here's my same Copilot prompt session to the right. And so on the right, what I'll ask it is make a DAX measure to compare Van Arsdale, that's a manufacturer, against other companies in Australia. But here I want to say make a DAX measure, compare Van Arsdale, I'll say in every region against just other companies in Australia, and click send. So the more detail you give the DAX, the better. And now right here, it's giving me different DAX measures. And so we can see it's telling us to look at Van Arsdale sales in Australia, add up the sales by Australia and Van Arsdale. You see that for both of those filters. Then it says other companies is to add up the sales with Australia that's not Van Arsdale. Okay, so those are separate DAX, and then create a measure to compare them. So it's telling me to make 3 different measures. So I'll just say, this time I'll say, please put those into one measure and click send. And also while that's running, you can click on your visuals, and it doesn't hurt. It'll keep running on the right. That's one good thing about Copilot and Power BI. So look what it says here. Here it made the whole visual. See, now it's adding up, calculating the sales of Australia and Van Arsdale, and subtracting the calculation of Australia and not Van Arsdale. So close to what I know I said in all regions, still pretty close. And you just type that in, and you can edit. You can edit on your own, or you can keep asking questions of Copilot and DAX. Okay, any questions in Q&A on thing, or you're welcome to put in Q&A if you have anything that you'd like to type of any DAX to try it out. So let's look, our data goes up until basically 2020. So let's make a measure that's going to forecast data based on the previous years. So just say make a DAX measure to forecast sales up until 2022, and I'll say in the USA based on previous years. And just click send. So it's making the DAX measure. Okay, now here's the DAX measure. See, it's looking at last year, the max, and then it's looking at a forecast year of 2022, and then returning this calculation. And then I can ask it, what is that amount for USA in 2022? Instead of putting in the DAX and put in a visual, let's just ask Copilot. It says it looks like you're asking for forecasted sales amount. However, the data set doesn't have a direct measure for forecasted sales. So yeah, that measure is not in here. So I'd have to put that measure in here to give that answer. Okay, let's look at some other things it can do. So now let's turn to Power BI services. to look at what else it can do there. So of course, what you do is just you publish your report to the workspace, and that workspace has to have that Fabric capacity, the F64 or higher enabled in it. So you just go to home and publish, and then of course save your document. And here are the other queries. I'll click apply later, and I'll pick that workspace, which is this Microsoft Fabric workspace. I'll click select, publishing, and it'll replace this report I had. I'll click replace, and then I'll open it up on the screen to show you. Okay, so here, publish, I'll click got it. And let me go to that workspace. Just give me a minute to get there. So one other thing I want to show you in Copilot and Power BI Desktop, if I just go up, you know, like you saw, we saw answered, but one other thing I want to show you is just, you could say summary, and I'll give you summary of this model on the right. But you can do that in Power BI services also. So okay, you see the summary with sales analysis. Said the highest sales month was August 2019 of $4.3 million. The top product is bikes. You see how this summary could be helpful instead of just trying to look through all of this data with thousands of rows. Here we have 57,000 rows of data. It's impossible to just look with your eyes to get these insights. A Copilot makes it so easy. Okay, now I want to show you how to use these, how to use Copilot in Power BI services or Fabric. So right here, I'm app.powerbi.com. I'll go to the workspace. Here it's under recent. And then I go to refreshed, newest to oldest, which was just today, you see. And I'll click on the report to bring it up. And of course, I can share this report with others by clicking on share and copy the link. But here I want to use Copilot, and here to show you, just click on Copilot in the top right. It's getting things ready. And I can click on things here like give me an executive summary. So it's very similar to using it in Power BI Desktop. And here's the executive summary, which is really similar to that summary that we saw in Power BI Desktop. And I can ask it, what insights should I look into on this page? Of course, this page is that sales analysis page that you saw we made. See, based on categories, quantity sold. And here's the insights, the total sales. Basically, it's all years, so it's really very similar to the summary because this is looking at the whole model. You see, you can base the summary on the entire report instead, and you can give feedback to Microsoft on these things with the thumbs up or thumbs down. Let's ask some other questions. I'll try to have it make a report page. So I'll say, make a report page for salespeople, sales by time. I don't think it'll let us to edit the report in Power BI services, but we can try to ask on the right here. It says, could you specify the time period? Like here, I'll just say years. Okay, so now here it's showing fiscal, salespeople and sales sorted by year of fiscals. It's showing it, and we can see the reasoning. If I click expand view, so now we see the visual right here. So you don't even have to make a report page, but you can get these visuals right here on the spot. Look at this fiscal year 2018. I can look at, okay, who had the most profit. Just click on profit, top. Let me click on it again. Okay, profit from top down. We see 19, 18. And if you remember 2019, it told us that was the most sales. If I expand that, then I see JPAC, 218,000. Linda, you see the questions you can get answered using Copilot right here on the spot. How handy is this? So then some other things you can ask Copilot and Power BI services. It's like I said, it's very similar to what you can in Power BI desktop. But like you see here, it can even make visuals a little quicker right on the spot on the screen. Yeah, and any questions and Q&A about that? Okay, now let's look at a dashboard in the same workspace. Let's go to workspace. Let's go to, I'll click on the workspace here, and I'll go to the dashboard. Like here, I have a Canada dashboard. And of course, you can ask questions about your data. Again, let me let the dashboard come up. So it's in the top left corner. Ask a question about your data. We can ask questions there, such as which country has the most sales. And this is just Q&A. So you can ask this even if you don't have Copilot, even if you don't have a Fabric license. So click the arrow. And right here it says USA has the most sales right there. And here I'll go ahead and I'll click on exit Q&A. And now let's let me try to find Copilot in here inside of the dashboard. Well, I don't see the button here, so let me just go back to our workspace right here. Let me go back to the same report we had open. And this one. And I'll click on Copilot on top right. And let me ask a question in here. And I'll say, I'll ask it, what is the best dashboard I can make with this report? Just click send. And right here it says the best dashboard for your report depends on specific metrics, like their summary metrics, trends over time. Let's just say, for example, that we want trends over time. So say, make a dashboard showing trends over time. Just click send. It's working on it. You see here it's showing all the dates. So you could get all kinds of insights on your data. So, and I can ask that on the far right. What are the insights from this report that I can tell my coworkers, so we know which products to market better. Market better, that will sell the best. Click send right there. So here on the right, it's even given, really it's the same summary as before, just kind of a different format. Do you all have any questions in the Q&A. Check here. Let me go back to the slides. Go back to sharing the slides here. Okay, so we saw how to create the F64 capacity. And one other thing that I want to show you is how to pause or delete a fabric capacity. And, let me just share my screen to do that. 1 second. Okay, right here in the top left. So go back to your fabric capacity, click on it. Make sure you do this is you just click on pause. Click pause and you say yes. I'll just pause this after the webinar here. And we go back to sharing a few more slides here. And then we're almost done. So like you can see, we enabled Copilot in Power BI. We went through how to enable it in Power BI services. Of course, you need to be able to create a workspace in Power BI to do all of this, or you need to be an admin in a workspace to attach a capacity to a workspace. Let me just kind of recapping on some of the things you can do with Copilot in reports and dashboards. So creating those, generating these reports automatically, getting visual recommendations, auto-generating insights, and just making natural language queries, automating DAX queries. You saw how to make those DAX measures, so that way you don't have to figure them out on your own. Just ask Copilot first, and then just check the work. So let me kind of fast forward through a few of these. So you can even have it ask things like breaking down month by month. Just really practice this to compare quarter over quarter, month over month, week over week, and setting up alerts using Copilot. Yeah, and then I think this is going to be real helpful for you all for sharing these reports with other people. This is going to make you to benefit you to make more effective reports. So let me just keep going a little further. You can even ask it things like, how can you suggest things on performance improvements and working with data cleaning and Power Query. And yeah, and just really making this kind of future-proofing your work for predictive analytics. Like you saw how it made those DAX measures. We saw the DAX measure that will show, it predicted a future year based on other years. And, this would work really well for people who travel a lot with in the mobile app. Yeah, and we saw how to make these prompts and kind of go a little bit further. We're almost to the end of the slides. And like you saw, you can get really good summaries and analyses, writing DAX, and you can have Copilot to ask. If Copilot, other things, if Copilot cannot answer every question, you could always copy the M language and put it into your Copilot for 365. We go to the end, and that's basically it. You saw a lot of the features that Copilot can do in Power BI Desktop and in Power BI Services or Fabric. And let me just go back to the beginning, so that way you can see my contact information again. You all can get a hold of me later after this. If you have any questions, and here we go. Here's my email at the bottom. And yeah, do you all have any questions in Q&A towards the end here? Well, I hope you all really like this presentation. Hope you learned some new things. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to attend here. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you all in future sessions. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.